Greetings, my dear viewer. You're on the channel The Price of Cheating. The channel is for those who appreciate traditional family values and condemn adultery. So be sure to subscribe to the channel. Let's get started. The Radisson Hotel attracted me with its spacious lobby, which reminded me of the elegant hotels featured in classic films. My sons, Bradley and Terry, and I stood aside, eagerly awaiting my wife, Lauren, to join us for our Wednesday afternoon outing. We had been looking forward to this day for weeks, anticipating how it would unfold. In just a week, Lauren and I will be celebrating our silver wedding anniversary. We married young and started a family early. Our sons are now attending university on scholarships. Despite living in Reading, we rarely make it to downtown Philadelphia. This was my first time visiting and staying at the Radisson Hotel. For the past 10 years, I've worked in the legal department of an accounting firm in Reading, with weekly meetings with a major elder care contractor in Harrisburg. This meeting was one of those rare ones that never gets canceled or rescheduled. Perhaps that's why Lauren chose Wednesday for her weekly trip to the Radisson. The journey from Reading to downtown Philadelphia can take up to 2 hours, especially in heavy traffic, so it certainly must have meant a lot to her. About 2 months ago, I began to feel that something was off. It started with small details that caught my attention. The company had hired an investigator who was willing to take on some surveillance work in addition to his usual assignments. Although it wasn't cheap, I was willing to pay. It didn't take him long to find out that Lauren had been driving to Philadelphia on Wednesday mornings to meet with a family friend, Kyle Standish, at the Radisson Hotel. Often, Lauren would visit the gift shop and wait for Kyle to arrive. When he showed up, he would check into a room and head to the payphone in the lobby. Before taking the elevator to the 5th floor, he would leave a small envelope under the phone. Lauren would then leave the gift shop, retrieve the envelope with the room key, and follow him upstairs. They would spend about 3 hours together before parting ways. Kyle used to work at our company, and we interacted with him and his wife Beth at various company events, even keeping in touch after his transfer to the Montgomery County office. But we hadn't seen each other for years. Recently, Bradley and Terry attended a job fair at the Radisson Hotel and spotted Kyle stepping out of a new red Mercedes. Just as they were about to greet him, Terry noticed Lauren in the gift shop. The boys stopped and stared at her in confusion. They couldn't understand why their mother was in the hotel gift shop so far from home, especially in the middle of the week. It didn't immediately occur to them what was going on. About 2 weeks ago, they approached me hesitantly one evening when Lauren was visiting her sister. That's when I learned about their trip to the Radisson. "Dad, if you knew what was going on, why didn't you take action?" Terry asked. I replied, "I only found out recently. I don't know what to do. I love your mother, and the thought of life without her terrifies me. I wish this situation had never arisen, or at least that I could remain ignorant of it. But now that I know, I can't just ignore it. Any ideas?" "I know someone who could take care of Kyle for $500. "That's too bold, Bradley. Let's consider less drastic options. I'm planning to reach out to Beth to see if she has any insights. I think she might have something to offer." "We're not too busy on Wednesday, so we can help out if you decide on a plan of action." I'm deeply touched by how my sons have rallied around me. I know they care deeply for their mother, and this situation is undoubtedly difficult for them as well. 2 days later, I met with Beth. She had sensed that something was wrong but wasn't sure what exactly. Beth had caught Kyle in similar situations with other women before, despite his promises to behave. Given her knowledge of his infidelity, she was ready to file for divorce. She asked if I could hold off on any actions until she prepared the paperwork. Choosing a date wasn't difficult, which brings us to today. Lauren arrived at the hotel lobby right on time and headed to the gift shop. She looked stunning, though slightly nervous, as if she was genuinely making an effort for their weekly rendezvous, which tugged at my heart a little. "Hey, everyone! Were you waiting for me?" Beth quietly approached me from behind. "Lauren just arrived and is in the gift shop. If all goes according to plan, Kyle should be here any minute now." In the shop, Lauren flipped through magazines, occasionally glancing toward the lobby, clearly looking for her partner. It wasn't long before Kyle walked past the gift shop and headed to the desk. I noticed Lauren's face light up when she saw him. Moments later, Kyle stepped away from the counter, stopped by the payphone, and then took the elevator up. As soon as the elevator doors closed, Terry entered the gift shop. He greeted his mother with a warm smile and open arms. Lauren appeared concerned. Wrapping his arm around her waist, he managed to distract her from the lobby. Meanwhile, Beth quickly grabbed the key card Kyle had hidden and took the elevator. He always showered before their intimate encounters, so Beth decided to wait in the corridor until she was sure he was occupied. Meanwhile, Bradley and I made our way to meet Terry and Lauren. What a delightful surprise. I'm so glad to see you here, Lauren. How about joining us for lunch with the boys? John, what are you doing here? I thought you were supposed to be in Harrisburg. The meeting was canceled today, so I decided to join the boys for lunch. I called you at home to invite you, but you weren't there. Now I understand why. Why are you here? Lauren was clearly flustered. We're meeting Marcia Phillips for lunch. Remember her, John? We went to elementary school together. It seemed she didn't notice that the boys were exchanging amused glances as she tried to come up with some unconvincing excuse. It's all right, Lauren. We'll book the table for 5, and she can join us then. Reluctantly, Lauren came with us to the restaurant. It was clear that she had no choice in the matter. No sooner had we sat down than she pulled out her mobile phone. I need to call Marcia and let her know the plans have changed. Put the phone away, dear, I said. The place isn't that big. I doubt she'll have trouble finding us. I didn't want my wife calling Kyle while Beth was busy. Lauren seemed a bit anxious as we sat there. The boys were behaving somewhat submissively, but she didn't seem to notice. Lauren placed her phone on the table next to the silverware, which was unusual since she usually kept it in her bag on the floor beside her chair. The waiter took our drink orders, and we all fell silent, studying the menu. I couldn't help but frown when I noticed the smirks they were exchanging among themselves. Shall we wait for Marcia, Lauren, or let her order when she arrives? I suggested ordering now, since Marcia didn't seem sure she would make it for dinner. There was a chance she wouldn't come at all. I thought that if that happened, I could still get some shopping done. Poor Lauren was caught in a web of lies, desperately trying to maintain her image. Of course, I felt sorry for her, but I also knew she had brought this trouble upon herself. The waiter soon returned with our drinks and took our orders. Lauren only ordered a fruit salad. Barely 5 minutes passed when Beth approached the table with her arms full of Kyle's clothes and shoes. Hello, Beth. How did it go? Thanks, John. It went very well. My dear husband was in the shower, as we expected, and didn't even notice my presence. I left the divorce papers for him on the dresser, and at the last minute, decided to grab his clothes as well. It was obvious that Lauren was shaken. The color drained from her face, and her eyes became glassy. Lauren looked at me and Beth, clearly not knowing what to do. Here's the key, Lauren. I'm grateful you lent it to me, but I won't need it anymore. Carefully placing the key card next to Lauren's phone, Beth pulled it out of her pocket. Lauren's eyes widened in disbelief, and she stared at it, mouth agape. Just then, her mobile phone rang. She glanced at the caller ID, decided not to answer, and quickly turned off the phone, placing it back down. Here you go, guys. The Mercedes is yours for a week. It's registered in my name, so don't worry. When you're done having fun, just leave it at home. Smiling, she handed the keys to Bradley. Thanks, everyone, for your help, but I have to go. Enjoy your meal. Lauren gave me a pleading look, but I remained silent. She didn't even notice the guys standing nearby. After the waiter brought the food, Lauren excused herself and headed to the ladies' room. We finished our meals, but Lauren didn't return to the table, so I asked Terry to check the restrooms and sent Bradley to Kyle's room. As she left, Lauren forgot her keycard, mobile phone, and purse on the table. 10 minutes later, both Terry and Bradley returned empty-handed. Bradley said the hotel had given Kyle a tracksuit while they worked on getting him home. Terry, after checking the restrooms in both the restaurant and the hotel lobby, found nothing. I asked the restaurant manager to contact hotel security for assistance. There were no signs of illegal activity, and while security was willing to help, the only thing they found was a surveillance camera recording showing Lauren entering the kitchen, not the ladies' room. The other cameras didn't show anything. For safety reasons, They contacted the Philadelphia police. It wasn't possible to officially report Lauren as missing, but we were allowed to file an incident report for possible future use. After waiting a few more hours, we decided to head home, hoping she would return. Her wallet, containing credit cards, her driver's license, and some cash, remained on the table. Lauren wasn't at home either. 3 years have passed since our lunch at Radis. Since then, Terry has become an Air Force lieutenant, and Bradley is attending graduate school in California. Beth and Kyle's marriage has been dissolved, and we've lost all contact with Lauren. After the mandatory waiting period, I reported her missing to the Philadelphia police, but they came up empty-handed. Legally, I'm still married, and eventually, I'll have to take steps to change that. For now, I live alone in a large house, surrounded by all of Lauren's belongings, just as she left them. I've started seeing a wonderful and kind woman who makes me happy, while the ungrateful woman I spent 25 years with is on the run, feeling nothing but shame. This concludes the story. If you like it, then put your powerful like and subscribe to the channel. Greetings, my dear viewer. You're on the channel The Price of Cheating. The channel is for those who appreciate traditional family values and condemn adultery. So be sure to subscribe to the channel. Let's get started. Sarah, if you're reading this letter, it means that you're at your mom's place and already know that we no longer have our home. Inside this envelope, you'll find a key to the storage unit where I placed your clothes and personal belongings. I've paid for 1 month of storage. I didn't have time to pack everything neatly, so I hope you won't mind the 10 trash bags I used. I tried to handle fragile items with care. Thank you for the letter you left on the mantel when you and Mitch went on the 2-week cruise with the tickets I brought home. I remember the look of surprise on your face when I walked in and found you both in our bed. That smug look on his face as you pleaded with him not to stop. I'm not sure which of my performances was better. The unmistakable sadness on my face when I saw you two together. When I threw the flowers and the tickets at you, suggesting you take your lover on the cruise since it was clear I was no longer needed, I felt a deep pain. I noticed Mitch's eyes light up at the mention of the cruise, and his smug expression indicated he thought he'd won. Perhaps my biggest act was pretending to be humiliated for the following 3 weeks while he bragged to everyone at the office that he had my wife, because I was supposedly not man enough to keep her. Even the office manager came to my desk once to mock me. Please extend my thanks to Mitch for the email he sent around at work, announcing that he was going on a 2-week cruise with my wife and at my expense. I also appreciate the fact that both of you discussed the business trip he arranged for me, which would allow you to spend 4 days together. I'm glad you finally admitted that he seduced you at the Christmas party. I noticed him flirting with you at other company events, but it was only at that party that I caught you both sneaking away together. That night was the first time I saw you together, and I even managed to capture it on my phone. His wife calls him the stallion who drains and dumps, and it's hard to argue with that description. He is indeed quite enduring, but she believes you'll quickly lose interest in him. In truth, she prefers my smaller stature and the tender intimacy of our shared affection. Yes, his wife and I became lovers. About 2 weeks after the Christmas party, I visited their home and showed her your photo, which she had no idea about. At first, we intended our meeting as an act of revenge, but we discovered such chemistry in bed that we began regularly making love. As we spent more time together and shared our thoughts, our feelings for each other deepened. That's when we began planning the cruise and the final act of revenge against you both. To stay informed about your plans, we began recording your conversations. My lawyer was particularly interested in how you and Mitch discussed where to send me next. Victoria and I were concerned that you might resist the main part of our plan. The hardest part was convincing you to sell the house first. I figured you'd be tempted by the offer of a bigger house in a better neighborhood, and you were. Then I rushed in with the papers you needed to sign right after seeing Mitch leave. I knew you'd sense something was off and want me out of the house as quickly as possible, and once again you didn't disappoint me. Seeing me burst into the room, you looked shocked, but I quickly explained that I needed your signature on some documents for the realtor. When I left the room, you signed the papers without even looking at them, and I heard you sigh with relief. You signed the power of attorney without a second thought. Then I unexpectedly saw you both together. I was incredibly nervous entering the bedroom, but not because of what I found there, but because I worried that I wouldn't be able to look sad and vulnerable enough to make my performance convincing. I must have played my role well because you both made snide comments and smirked at my obvious distress. After Mitch left, when I moved my things into the guest room to make space for his, I thought you'd be thrilled. But instead, you apologized in a sad, pouty tone. When I turned to face you, tears were in my eyes. I had to prick myself to bring them out. I couldn't help but notice your smirk. I felt the urge to keep my distance from you, just as Victoria, Mitch's wife, kept her distance from him. Of course, he doesn't wear a wedding ring and tells women he's single, but trust me, he's been married for 6 years. Sarah, you're already the 8th or 9th affair his wife suspects since they tied the knot. The purpose of this letter is to inform you and Mitch that Victoria and I have decided to be done with you cheaters. We don't want a divorce, but if you both want one, you're welcome to cover the expenses. As for Mitch, he'll undoubtedly get in touch when he finds out that Victoria sublet their apartment. Unlike me, she went as far as to donate his clothes to the Salvation Army. The furniture from our house and then from their apartment, we managed to sell to a few interested buyers. Since our house was sold and Victoria's apartment was sublet, we needed a place to stay, and we decided to go to Paris for a while to think things over. Due to a shortage of cash, Victoria emptied the bank accounts but left the credit cards open for our trip. Don't forget to tell Mitch that he'll surely appreciate all the miles we racked up for him. While you two were off traveling, we enjoyed a week in Paris in luxurious 5-star hotels, and all those expenses were charged to Mitch's card. You might want to reconsider your choice of Mitch. His credit limit isn't very high. During the first 4 days in Paris, we made the most of 3 cards. Fortunately, he had 4 more cards for the remainder of our trip. Now that I've shared with Mitch all the good news about Victoria, our trip, the apartment, and the bank, it's time to share the bad news. I suspect that upon his return, he may lose his job. After all, I've filed an alienation of affection lawsuit against him, the branch manager, and the company. After visiting the main office in New York, my lawyer first reviewed the records of your conversations with Mitch, where Mitch boasted about sending me to betray you. Additionally, he found recordings of other employees coming to my workplace to mock me for being deceived by Mitch, with the branch manager joining in the ridicule. Moreover, my lawyer presented Mitch's emails regarding the cruise, which were stored on the company's server. After examining this evidence, the company's attorneys agreed to our reasonable demand for financial compensation and my resignation in exchange for my signature on a confidentiality agreement. They quickly faxed the agreement to my office. I signed all the documents and returned them along with my resignation letter. My lawyer received 2 checks, one for his fee and another for my pension, severance pay, and all unused vacation days. I had already retired before you and that fool boarded the ship. Also, Victoria sold one of their cars and her sailboat. Let Mitch know he should be careful with signatures before rushing. Like you, he gave Victoria power of attorney. She considered selling the car you drove home in but decided against it, considering the remaining payments. Now as for you, my dear wife, who enjoyed belittling me and calling me weak. While you and Mitch laughed, Victoria and I were making plans. The humiliation you both subjected me to is now coming back to the 2 of you in full measure. I suppose your mother will let you and Mitch stay at her house. When I gave her the letter, I explained that you had gone on a cruise with your lover, and that I could no longer tolerate the awkwardness of your closeness in our home. I also gave her a copy of your humiliating letter. She seemed very upset by your behavior. I just had to call you a good wife who preferred to sleep with another man. Mom agreed that it accurately reflected your choice. I want to remind you that you previously signed a power of attorney. If you need a refresher, you can look at the beginning of this letter. So I sold the furniture after you boarded the ship. I moved my clothes and belongings to Victoria's hotel room. When Mitch sent me to Texas for those 4 days, I took a couple of sick days, flew out of the country, and opened a bank account in the Cayman Islands. When we completed the sale of the house, I transferred the funds to this new account. As I mentioned earlier, my wife was not present at the closing because she was looking for a new place to live, and I was planning to leave soon. The company staff was more than willing to help me. Additionally, I decided to sell both of our cars since I no longer needed them. I closed all the credit card accounts except for one in my name alone, so I hope you didn't try to use the cards during your trip. It would have been quite awkward. Furthermore, I closed all our bank accounts, and once again, the power of attorney proved very useful. The homeowners willingly transferred the money to my new account. I used your portion of those funds to pay off our joint credit card debts before closing them. I always thought you were one of the most beautiful women I had ever met until I met Victoria. I deeply regret spending 45 years of marriage on such a terrible woman as you. Now I realize what a fool Mitch was to cheat on such an amazing woman as her. Victoria has shoulder-length black hair and charming green eyes. She's petite and slim, with a perfect figure that will stay youthful, unlike what I imagine will happen to you in a few years. 5 years younger than me, she's a refreshing change, while Mitch is stuck with someone older. During our travels in Paris, men envied me when she held my hand as we strolled together. We drew admiring glances when we danced in the evenings, and the stars witnessed our passionate nights. Victoria and I haven't yet decided where we want to settle. Thanks to our combined savings, we no longer need to work, so we plan to travel and find the perfect place to retire. I think you enjoyed your part-time job because you said staying home was boring. Now, you'll get to experience all the benefits of full-time work. Perhaps you and Mitch will look for jobs together, or maybe you'll find evening work somewhere downtown. The size and color of your clothes will be whatever you wish. Just don't forget to go for weekly checkups and get tested for HIV, given your lover's past relationships. Good luck, and thank you for your infidelity, which gave me the chance for a happy future with Victoria. This concludes the story. If you like it, then put your powerful like and subscribe to the channel.